Hello, welcome to Mystic Moves. Do you ever feel like all 24 hours of the day has something to impart? I feel that. I think I started my day at 5 a.m. It's now 2:40 a.m. and I'm still running around doing things. Admittedly, some things I was doing I wasn't planning on. Like, for instance, some of my plants, I was looking at it with my cats. And I don't know if she pawed it or something. They're in these hanging baskets. But she knocked over a whole bunch of plants, a whole bunch of dirt. Not just on the floor, but on my heating unit that attaches to the outside. So there was a certain amount of time that I had to go and spend unplanned cleaning that up. It feels like the day today just had a bunch of things, little things like that. Come on. Anyway, I wanted to go and check into a reading with Gemini, the Gemini Collective. Thank you for the like. Yes, if you appreciate my time, do give me a thumbs up. Let me know. Gemini, let's go and see a message for you. A message for Gemini. Magician, Gemini energy with judgment. You have a lot of power, Gemini. Have you been acting on your gifts? Also, too, Gemini, how have you been using your gifts? How openly have you been using your gifts? Queen of Pentacles, Strength, and High Priestess would suggest that, either you've been keeping some of what you do private, some of what you can do private. Also in this energy, it implies that you could have been, or you could be, working for other people's benefits more as opposed to your own. However, with Magician and Judgment here, Gemini, you're being called first and foremost, not to shine. Let people know who you are. Let people know what you comprehend, and just really who you are. Let them know how powerful you are, how observant you are. Also, too, this bottom of the deck energy really does speak to keeping equilibrium, keeping the peace. Doing just enough, just as necessary. But there's a little bit of sacrificial energy in here for the greater cause. What is that greater cause, though? Judgment with Magician. So we have Magician, which again I do read as Gemini energy. I have Justice, 9 of Wands, Queen of Swords, all fire and air. When do you take action? When's the best time to take action? Strategizing around how do you make sure what you do will have the strongest effect. There is an issue of timing here coming up with 9 of Wands. 9 of Wands, however, with Judgment, tells me, well, first of all, you've been waiting before stepping into your true power. Been waiting on circumstances, when really the circumstances, Gemini, first and always, foremost and always, Kochi, my cat goes meow. First and foremost, Gemini, it rests with you. Also, too, in this energy, don't be afraid, Gemini, to shake things up. In fact, Gemini, I'd say too, shaking things up is where your opportunities, your greatest opportunities, you'll find lies, not really keeping the equilibrium. You know, some people, Gemini, are meant to support. Some are meant to create. And some are meant to go entirely outside of the box. There's really no perfect time, Gemini, for invention or reinvention. We wouldn't have status quo, we wouldn't have norms, processes, and so forth if there was a true time for invention and reinvention. So something to go and think about here. Let's find out more energies we have coming up here. I read my queens as cardinals, so we have significant Libra energy and Sagittarius energy. You know, Gemini, if you have Sagittarius energy, you could be waiting on something that Sagittarius energy rules. I mean, if it rules, for instance, your fifth house, maybe you could be thinking, when I have friends or when I work on a creative talent that you have, maybe that's when you could go and step more into your power. If you have Sagittarius energy in like in your Mercury, for instance, you could be thinking, well, maybe I'll wait for the right moment to go and speak or share my thoughts. Coochie, stop meowing. Although I do think Kochi has the best meowing voice. It's the cutest. He really does have a pretty voice. But where was I? Yeah, so with this Gemini energy, with this Sagittarius energy, Gemini, if you have Sagittarius energy in your chart, take a look at your natal chart. And I wonder if the energy that either that house rules or the planets that are in it, have you been waiting for some sort of opening to come here? If it's in a watery place, for instance, maybe you're thinking about when it feels right. But there's something here about holding you back from taking initiative. Also, too, with Justice and Queen of Swords energy, Libra energy. You know, where this, if you have Libra energy in your chart, I invite you to think about, I mean, these could be people and players in your energy, but this could also be, as I said, think about how this could relate to you personally. With where you are seeking more growth, where you have where you're deserving of growth. But it also, too, in this energy has to be a Pacific type of way. Also, too, we're talking about acknowledgement here in this energy. So that's why I invite you, too, to go and think about your, you know, where these energies sit in your own chart if you do have them, because that does apply here in this reading. And likewise, to give the same example, like if Libra energy sits in your, again, in your Mercury, you could be, well, first of all, you have words to share, you have ideas to share, but you could be waiting too in this energy for buy-in or support from others. You know, think about the qualities of Libra and Sagittarius. Think about the qualities in which they could rule houses, planets. And also you can think about significant asteroids. Maybe they're empty houses, but you have an asteroid or two in there. Check out the meaning of those. Okay. So Gemini, we're being asked here for you to step, well, essentially shake things up. That's essentially what we have here. You're being asked not to go and wait anymore, but initiate. And also, too, in this energy, share your thoughts and your feelings, not really necessarily showing only 25% of yourself or 80% of yourself. Gemini, if you can, show 500% of who you are, how you think, how you are inclined to move. So Queen of Swords is actually quite laden by a lot of court cards here with the King cards. As we're reading for a collective, these could be masculine energies, Gemini, that you're dealing with. You could also be waiting for support with King of Pentacles, someone to go and buy in, someone perhaps who is skeptical of investing in you and you feel like you have to prove them. Maybe, Gemini, you do have to go and prove yourself in order to go and get more ahead, to have someone truly back you. But again, what we have in this energy, you're not going to get it unless you come forward. You're not going to get it unless you present radical new ideas. Judgment, Magician, Queen of Swords, they are not energies, Gemini, that follow along with others or follow other people's plans. We could also be, there's a third meaning here that we could glean. I mean, we'll see which ones become relevant or prevalent, we'll say, as we look into the other cards. But there is a third meaning we can infer here too. And that's before you go and make any significant movements, Gemini, and before you make any significant investments, see first where you get by simply sharing your ideas, by verbalizing, by pitching. Who could you share your ideas with, Gemini? For what purpose would you share those ideas for, Gemini? Here in this energy, as I said, another meaning is definitely before you necessarily go off on your solo or, I can do it all, and you put out the investments yourself and you do the footwork yourself. It could be a lot of, it could be taxing, no pun intended, on the resources of what you need and use to keep yourself stable. So in this energy that we have as well, it's all about the ideation phase. It's about discussion. It's about pitching. It really is seeing who buys in to your ideas and how can you present the best argument for what you'd like to do and what should be done. Thank you for the likes. So let's check out 9 of Wands. 9 of Wands, I have 5 of Pentacles, lack of support, or just not the time yet. That's rather intense energy. Curious what's behind that Devil. Empress. So, it's funny, through all the times that I've been reading for Gemini, a very prevalent energy that always comes up for me with Gemini is Empress energy. And a prevalent theme that always comes up with Gemini as well is, well, Gemini, you have a lot to give, a lot that people want. And when you think about it, having the Lovers as as a representation in the major arcana, to me makes so much sense because people gravitate to you like crazy. You could say it's two-faced or a yin and yang, different types of attitudes. But for me, overall, what I see, you just have a very wide appeal, and people gravitate to what they sense innately you can provide. But of course, when people come to you, they're coming to you seeking what's their intentions? Are they coming to nourish you? They take, but they also replenish. Are they coming to grow together? Are they thinking you have so much to give that they can take as much as they want and then go off? So there's a little bit of something to think about here with magician as you share your ideas, and perhaps this could also be, the caveat of what you've been waiting for. We're talking about the right opportunity, the right support, and the right buy-in. But this also tells me that with Devil and the Empress energy, there are people who would take what you have even more so, or even more so easily, Gemini, if it's ideas. It's interesting energy here with Nine of Wands. It's also like in this energy too, that you have been waiting, for the right time to assert yourself. Let me check out this Queen of Swords one more time. You have been waiting for the right time to assert yourself. But likewise, if you don't make a strategic move, hence with that Magician and Judgment energy, this limbo could continue. But it's something to be aware of. So I guess also too in this energy, Gemini, and that's probably too where we come into a Queen of Swords and Magician energy. Share as much as you need to make a convincing argument, but don't share any more than necessary. Because I do have here essentially delight in what you can offer. People can utilize what you offer, but would they include you in on the benefit? It's a little bit of a warning. Thank you for the likes. Now, Justice. Justice has I have Strength, King of Swords, lots of fire, lots of air here. As I said, all about what you are thinking, what your ideas are, your creativity, literally fire and air is creativity, how you implement, how you move. So Strength is clarified by our third king that popped out, King of Swords. Of course, Eight of Swords is Gemini energy. In fact, I'm just going to throw one card on Eight of Swords. Seven of Cups. All about ideas and collaboration, bottom of the deck energy. Also, too, you could have solutions maybe for yourself, maybe for the group as a whole. That's essentially what this energy is. Ideations and hopes that everyone could buy into, everyone could benefit with. Definitely better ways of operating, seeing things, seeing solutions in a way that no one else can. Strength, King of Swords, Eight of Swords with Seven of Cups. Very valuable ideas here, Gemini. Very valuable observations you have, Gemini. And I'm going to say, Gemini, it's too valuable for you to follow the lead and not speak up more about what you see, how you see it, how you'd like to go and move. Gemini, as these are collective readings, and you can take this as it resonates, but ultimately what I see here, Gemini, again, whatever you have been not showing the true force of yourself, especially when it comes to asserting your ideas, and I'm going to say too in this energy, Gemini, asserting your personality. It's time to change that, Gemini. Know that when you do that, remember too, when we were pulling this, we had a 5 of Wands energy in here too. You know, not everyone's going to go and buy in. Also too, with these masculine energies of the kings, everything but the King of Cups. We're talking about competition. I mean, these could be actual men, but they could also be people who are acting in active voice as opposed to passive voice. But there's also competition. Also, too, who gets ahead, who also gets recognition. And I feel like, too, in this energy, Gemini, precisely where there are so many energies striving to go and lead and direct and follow and show value. There's so much noise, Gemini, that's being spent on trying to do that, as opposed to actually presenting some intelligent words and or actions. And that's for you, Gemini, to think about. Remember, don't overshare. Share just enough to tantalize. The pitch, Gemini, the pitch. What is your pitch? And who would you be pitching it for? And how much, Gemini, of that pitch do you share? Just enough to get people interested, but not have them steal your ideas. That's the message I have for you right now, Gemini. Until next time. Thank you for the likes. And I thought the Lionsgate portal was August 8th. Isn't that typically the Lionsgate one, the 8 vibration of the energy? But I suppose you could also go and see that on a smaller scale with the 8th hour of a day, the 8th minute of a day, or of an hour, the 8th day of the month, vibrations with 8. Anyway, thank you everyone for the likes. Very interesting energy. I'm going to go on to the next collective reading. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you.